Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by Reseme. Reseme is an app that allows you to put all of your recipes in one place. And if you're at all like me and find recipes and inspiration all over the internet, Reseme is such a great tool. You can save recipes from websites, social media, even handwritten recipes. Reseme will import it all into one place so that you can find it and organize it. You can create custom cookbooks, for example, healthy meals, quick dinners, and then you can find the recipes when you need them. Reseme instantly imports all of the details, including the ingredients, the measurements, and the steps. And another cool thing is that it will create a smart grocery list. So when you're shopping, you'll have your grocery list instantly on your phone so you can get all the ingredients you need and not miss anything. How many times, I can't even tell you how many times I've had to go back to the grocery store because I forgot an ingredient. Reseme also has a very convenient meal planning tool which allows you to plan your scheduling for your meals. You can take a recipe and drop it into your calendar, which is really great if you've got a busy schedule, and it relieves some of the burden that comes with cooking and preparation because you know what you're going to cook. It's also a great way to save money and reduce food waste, and what I love most is that it's a great way to boost your confidence in the kitchen. So if you'd like to try Reseme for yourself, you can click the link down below and start a free 2-week trial. Big thanks to Reseme for sponsoring this video and for their continued support so I can make better videos for all of you. Alrighty, my lovelies, today we're going to be making the viral pickle dip using Grillo's Pickles. Have you heard about it? Have you seen it? I have, and I'm very intrigued by it. If you're not familiar with Grillo's Pickles, they come in this very recognizable container. It's plastic with this bright green lid on top, and you can find them in the refrigerator section, and they've got this great chill pickle on the front. Now, apparently Grillo's started in the Boston area in 2008, and what makes them different is they are cold packed pickles. They are not heat processed, so they are very crunchy and crisp, as opposed to these kinds of pickles, which you can find in the supermarket on the grocery shelves at room temperature because they've been heat packed, so they're less crunchy, although there are some brands that claim to be super crunchy. Now, I feel like that's a huge distinction. When people taste this dip, nobody seems to mention that there's a big difference between these pickles and the typical pickles that you find at the supermarket. As some of you may already know, I am not a huge pickle fan, but in the right context, I think they are great. On burgers, for example, I think they are actually quite important. But a pickle spear next to my sandwich, I probably won't nosh on it because, you know, I'm not a huge pickle person. But I'm very curious about this recipe and why it's taken over and why so many people are intrigued by it. So we're going to be making it. So here are the Grillo's pickles. I got the hot version. It also comes in just the original, but this recipe also contains jalapeños. So I figured, why not go hot? Let's go hot. So in my research, I was not able to find the originator of this recipe. If you know who that is, please let me know down in the comments. I did find lots of variations, but they all are pretty similar. It's basically taking this entire container, adding 3 different types of dairy, cream cheese, sour cream, and yogurt, and a package of ranch dressing, and then some additional items to, you know, make it a little bit more zhuzhed, including bacon bits and a whole jalapeno. But basically we're making a ranch creamy dressing with an entire container of chopped pickles in it, and it's supposed to be sublime. Oh, we're also adding shredded cheddar cheese in here, so cheddar cheese and bacon bits, so a little bit decadent, a little over the top, a little bit spicy. I can kind of imagine it, but it's a bit of a mishmash melange, you know. So let's give them a go. So the first thing we're going to do is save this container because a big part of this seems to be the presentation of the dip in this container. It needs to be mounded and kind of overflowing. So we need to save the container. Now, I have purchased Grillo's before. I have not tried the hot, so I'm curious to see how those are. This container was $7.49 in my area for a 32-ounce container, so 1 quart of Grillo's. This recipe is going to make a lot of dip. Now, I just broke the seal and I can smell the vinegar. Ooh, and look at that on top. Look at all that dill floating on top. And see how they're a different color? These look almost a little bit translucent because they're almost a little bit cooked, as opposed to these where they look a bit more like cucumbers, which they are, but you see how the flesh still remains kind of white and opaque? Okay, let's dump them into here. It's a lot of pickles. That must be some chili pepper. It looks like habanero. And I read from the ingredients that they contain grape leaves, which I found very interesting. So that's a grape leaf. I love how the spears are of different sizes too. And there's slightly imperfect. Very cool. Let's give them a taste. Itadakimasu. Those are actually pretty good. Very salty. Not particularly hot. These are the hot ones, right? I don't find these very spicy at all. I like those, and that's from someone who does not normally like dill pickles. First of all, they're very crunchy and very salty, but they're not so strongly dilly. I like that these pickles definitely respect the fact that they are truly a cucumber. I'm reminded, yes, this is a cucumber. Now that we've got our pickles drained, I'm going to preserve the brine, and we can use that to loosen up the dip if we need to. But I saw several people taking a drink or a sip of this, and then on Grillo's social media I saw them offering shots of the pickle brine as well. So let's give it a taste. This is a little sake cup. Isn't it adorable? Take a little bit of that. If it's anything like the pickle, it's going to be extremely salty, but cheers. It is pretty salty and vinegary too, but pleasantly so. I was imagining it to be more funkier. You know how vinegar has that inherent kind of funkiness to it? It's not that strong. Not bad. Next, we're going to take our pickle spears. I'm curious how many. I've already eaten 2, so, you know, 15, 16 spears. And we're going to chop these up. Some of these are quite large, so I'm going to cut them lengthwise. So as I was reading the ingredients to this dip, it reminded me a bit of tzatziki, which often contains yogurt and cucumbers, but of course, in this case, the cucumbers are pickled. So it's going to be tangier. So I'm going to chop these into 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch cubes. I don't want them to be too big because we are going to be serving this as a dip. So you don't want all the pieces, you know, falling off. Kind of a rough like that. Full container of pickles. I almost forgot, we're going to also include a whole jalapeno. So that's this bright green chili pepper here. Sometimes they can be quite hot and sometimes they're not. Generally, I found when they're really big like this, they're not very hot. So I'm chopping the peppers finer than I chopped the pickles. In go the chilies. So the recipe calls for green onions, and I love pre-chopping my green onions, storing them in a container that's got a nice seal on them so that it makes it really easy to add to any recipe. I find I use them up better. Otherwise, they kind of melt in the crisper drawer. I always forget about them. In terms of how much green onions, some recipes say 3, some say 5, some say I don't know. I'm going to add about 1/3 cup, which I would guess to be about 4 scallions. Next, we're going to add our dairy ingredients. First, I'm going to add some cream cheese. Now, many of the recipes call for whipped cream cheese, and I had a block of regular cream cheese, so that's what I'm going to use. So, my block of cream cheese, I just softened in the microwave for about 15 seconds, just to give it a little bit of a softness, but it's not warm, just so I can smear it around. Now, to that, I'm going to add just about a tablespoon of the reserved brine to, again, soften it up and get it to a whipped consistency a bit. I think this is the perfect moment to add our main seasoning, which is going to be a package of ranch seasoning mix. This is Hidden Valley Ranch, the classic. I'm gonna put this in here. Now, after living abroad, I've learned that many places do not have ranch seasoning. And to describe it, I would say it's like a tangy, dairied, oniony, garlicky flavor, seasoned and flavored with MSG, which makes everything taste good. So you could just dip your crudité, your carrot sticks, your celery sticks into this, and I think you'd be pretty happy. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more brine to loosen it up. Now we're gonna add some sour cream. It's just a 1-to-1 ratio. So 1 cup of sour cream, 1 cup of cream cheese, and 1 cup of Greek style yogurt, plain. Okay, so cup of both of those, and continue to stir. Now, to make things even saltier and more complex, we're gonna add some bacon bits. These are store-bought, but if you have bacon, you could chop that up as well. Smoky. It actually tastes like real bacon. Wow. I was ready to write that off. Okay. This reminds me of kind of like loaded baked potatoes, you know, sour cream, bacon, cheese. Now a cup of sharp cheddar cheese into there. I think we're ready to graduate to our big bowl. So let's just pour everything into our big bowl. So now we have a cup of sharp cheddar cheese in there as well. So 4 types of dairy. Wow, this is gonna be a lot of dip. This would have been appropriate for the Super Bowl, but I'm late. Okay, we'll go for a bigger spatula and we're just gonna fold everything together. Now remember what we have in here. We have additional heat from the jalapeños. We've got a lot of pickles and some green onion in here. And some moisture. I think it's gonna loosen the dip up too. So yeah, it's kind of a different take on tzatziki. I'm not gonna add any additional brine. I think we're at a good amount of brine. Next, we're gonna add a bit of hot sauce. Any hot sauce you like. I'm gonna use Tabasco, which to me has a very distinctive flavor, so I'm not gonna add too much. It's very smoky in my opinion, and it's one of the few hot sauces that I can recognize blindfolded. I like the amount of heat it has. All right, there's our dip. Some people also added some Cajun spice. I'm hesitant to add any of this. This is Tony Chacher's, and it's pretty salty. So if this is salty already, I'm gonna skip this because I think this is gonna be plenty flavorful. Now, empty container is now going to be refilled into the cup. Pretty thick. Looks like some kind of alien. All right, my lovelies, here it is. Here's my overstuffed container of the viral pickle dip. Look at that. Let's go ahead and give it a taste. Now, I've got a few things to taste it with, including plain kettle-style potato chips, club crackers, tortilla chips, and I want to try these as well. Chicken in a biscuit. Courtney says that these are delicious. I have not had these in a really long time. Chicken in a biscuit crackers. I don't remember them being that small, but again, it's been a long time. Let's just have a chicken in a biscuit by itself. Here we go. Itadakimasu. Okay. Those are good. They're a short cracker, so the crumb texture is very crumbly and less snappy. But I think what makes them really good is that they're dusted in a seasoning powder that's savory. Doesn't really taste chickeny in my opinion, but definitely has some MSG in there. They remind me of like the ranch flavored goldfish. Let's try the pickle dip with a chicken in a biscuit. Alrighty, itadakimasu. Wow. There's a lot going on there. On second thought, let's try it on a club cracker, which is just a plain buttery saltine kind of cracker. Wow. Okay, here we go. It's kind of confusing. It's a chunky dip. There's lots of textures going on. Succulent crunches from the pickles. Intensely flavored. Plenty of salt. Do not add any additional salt to this. It doesn't need it. Between the pickles and the ranch seasoning powder, it definitely, in my opinion, does not need any more salt. You can definitely taste the bacon bits in there. It gives it a smokiness. And it's creamy ranchiness and definitely very tangy. Again, the brine from the pickles has lots of vinegary tang to it, but we also have yogurt and sour cream, which adds more acidity. I feel like when we've added a delivery mechanism, it just adds another layer of flavor. So let's just try it on its own. good dip, a chunky dip. It reminds me of French onion dip with chunks of succulent dill pickle, but not the dill pickle that you may be familiar with. Definitely not like the pickles that you would add to a hamburger. It's more cucumbery. I know many of you also know that I don't love cucumbers, but it doesn't taste like cucumber. So it's a little bit different take on a tzatziki for sure, but it is reminiscent of that. It's like a ranch tzatziki. Oh, eating it on a tortilla chip changes things too. It adds a bigger crunch than the cracker, which I enjoy, but then it adds a corn element, which is yet another flavor. Wow. It has a lot of flavors going on. I don't really taste the cheddar cheese in there, but I do taste the bacon bits. And now I'm getting the jalapeno, which again, isn't hot, just adds a little chili flavor, but it's pretty good. Is it a viral sensation? I'm not so sure about that. This might be good on a baked potato. Which combination do I like best? The tortilla chip, I think, is my favorite delivery mechanism in terms of a crunch factor and not being in competition with the flavors of the dip. I feel like the chicken and the biscuit, while it is tasty, it doesn't need additional flavors in my opinion. I feel like the dip is plenty flavorful enough, and I'd rather have a contrasting crunch to the textures of the dip. The dip itself is pretty good. Is it better than the tub of French onion dip that you can purchase already made? I'm not so sure about that. It's not bad, but I don't think it's something I'd make again. If you make this, stir it up without the bacon bits first. See how you like it, then add the bacon bits to a bit and see if you like that better. You might like it with bacon bits better. All right, my lovelies, there you have it. There is the viral pickle dip. I found it to be kind of in the middle of things, not terrible, but not amazing either. If you are a big fan of pickles, particularly the Grillo style pickles, then for sure make it, because I think it'd be fun to serve at a party. And if you like pickles, then of course, why not? But if you just like a creamy dip, I don't know, try it anyways. Maybe purchase a smaller container of them or just make a half batch, because it does make a lot of dip. Unless you're going to a party or something, that's a lot of dip to go through, you know. All right, my lovelies, thanks so much for watching, and big thanks to ResMe for sponsoring this video. Click the link down below to take advantage of a free 2-week trial of ResMe. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye! Oh my gosh, what am I gonna do with this much dip? Kids!